life, you have to seize the day or seize the carp, whichever you prefer. But in this installment of the Culinary Crucible, we are doing both because it is Carp-e Diem time, where our lucky little chefs, including you, are going to be cooking up a bunch of fish-related dishes. And if you want to know how to do so in the most efficient manner possible, then stay tuned, because we're going to go over every little nitty-gritty detail in just a moment. But if this is your first ever Culinary Crucible, welcome to the gauntlet. This guide is going to go over details for this specific version of the event. However, if you want to know how the Culinary Crucible itself functions and why I'm going to be giving some of the advice that I'm giving in this video, then I have a master guide that goes over every single nook and cranny of the event as a whole, and that goes into a lot more detail and will have a lot more explanation. If you are just interested in the recipes and cooking priority for this event, then this video is where you want to be. Starting, of course, with our recipes. In this edition, we have mackerel fritters to start us off, which can be made with fish, milk, flour, and egg. We also have mackerel curry with fish, rice, chili powder, onion, and carrot. We also have fried sardines, which can be made simply with some fish and breadcrumbs. We also have garrudia, which can be made with fish and chili powder. We have poke bowl with fish, rice, and avocado. We also have mackerel in tomato sauce. Fish, consomme, and tomato can help you make this particular version. And then we also have a mackerel sandwich. Very interesting that we have so much mackerel in here. I sure hope that will come into play later. This can be made with fish, bread, lettuce, and onion. We also have aquapazza, which can be made with fish, clams, tomato, and garlic. And then last but certainly not least, we have sorry braised in chili paste, which can be made with fish, chili powder, ginger, and garlic. Here are all of our lovely recipes for this event, displayed together for your convenience. But now that we know what ingredients go where, we have to figure out how we can cook these dishes efficiently. So let us turn it over to our ingredient spread to figure out our cooking priority. As is the case in all of the previous events, the last two areas are going to be locked behind token requirements. So any recipes that require those ingredients are going to be cut off from the get-go. What we are left with are two somewhat viable options, as well as the mackerel fritters, which require a lot more excursions to be able to cook. So we're just going to discount that one for now. Of the excursions that we can take, Octagonal and the Ranch are going to be guaranteed because the only ingredients you can get there are fish and milk. The Windmill and School Store, the highest drop rate according to how many recipes use an ingredient, are going to be the rice and the chili powder. Because of this, we have one singular recipe now that is going to be our starter priority, and that is the garrudia. This is our day one priority. This is going to be our heavy hitter because that chili powder should drop way more than its counterparts within that excursion. So this dish is going to be way easier for us to craft more often than not to rake up our tokens so that way we can unlock those other ingredient areas. Once we have done so and we have everything available to us, the world is kind of our oyster. If we look at the drop rates for each of the sections, the rice, spice, onions, tomatoes, and garlic are going to give you the most ingredients. However, almost every recipe needs one of the other ingredients. You might need a carrot, you might need an avocado, you might need the breadcrumbs, but they're all pretty scattered and all of the other ingredients have the exact same percentage of dropping. Therefore, RNG is going to be the biggest determining factor of what you prioritize past day one. If you still want to just grind out tokens, then you're going to do the exact same thing as day one the whole time. If you're trying to get 3 stars in every dish, you have to look at what you are getting from those drops to then determine your next steps. If you have a bunch of consomme, then perhaps it's worth investing in the botanical garden to get more tomatoes and along the way, get some garlic and maybe some carrots. Then from there, you can craft the mackerel in tomato sauce as well as the aquapazza and the sorry braised in chili paste and the mackerel curry. When you're going for the mackerel curry, you're probably also going to be getting bread and breadcrumbs, which you can then use for the sandwich and for the fried sardines. RNG is going to be the biggest factor here, and I cannot stress that enough. I would say do whatever makes the most sense for you after your day one priority if you are going for those 3-star dishes. If you are not going for those 3 stars, then you can still make up a very decent amount of tokens by keeping with that day one priority recipe. And then, of course, depending on what other ingredients you're getting from the school store, you can transfer to fritters, mackerels and tomato sauce, aquapazza. You can even start doing some of the chili paste or the curry. It's really up to you. Now, in my opinion, based off of what I am seeing, I think it might behoove you to save your eggs and your flour for the end of the event. Because if you can get a good stock of those two while you are crafting all of the rest of the recipes, you're going to be able to bang out mackerel fritters at the end, because the only ingredient that you're going to need is milk, and milk is guaranteed within its group because it is the only ingredient in the ranch excursion. So I would caution against doing the mackerel fritters until you have a good stock, but I think towards the end of the event, spamming that and spamming the Garuda is going to give you the most tokens overall, simply because you'll have a bunch of the ingredients already there to craft a whole bunch of those. Now, once you've gotten those tokens and you're looking at that shiny SR key to get your free SR card, you may already have a favorite, in which case, congratulations. Get whichever boy your heart desires. But if you're looking for a little more guidance on who to get because you're not quite sure or neither one of them is your favorite, I cannot tell you who to pick, but I can give you a little bit more information on the boys. Starting with, of course, Doosey Goosey himself, Mr. Mackerel, which is very apropos given that this event centers around so many mackerel dishes. He is going to be our defense type card this time around with some nice base stats, a nice chunky HP, as well as a Flora spell and a Fire spell. His duos are Jamil for power and Sebek for HP, so if you have a lot of their cards, he could slot in well on your teams. But he's also got some damage cuts to foes, which could be very nice for a defense type exam or something similar. But if these stats are not appealing to you, or you're just not in the market for a defense type card, you're in luck because we also have Jamil, Mr. Master Chef himself. Jamil is going to be our attack type card this time around with a pretty nice power stat of 6,000 and change. He comes with a water and a Flora spell, as well as some damage boosts to caster. And his buddies are Deuce for HP and Azul for power. If you have either of those cards or building teams around them, he could slot in quite well, and he can do a little bit of damage along the way. But you can't really go wrong with either of them, as both are decent choices. But if you do pick one up, make sure to add them to your excursions team for a little extra ingredient drop bonus. I have a couple other tips and tricks to share with y'all before you go. If you can do the shorter excursions more consistently, you can get more ingredients that way, so keep that in mind. And you can make use of the ingredient shop to get more tokens when you're in a pinch. Charcoaling, or failing a bunch of dishes, will help you at the very end of the event to get rid of all of your ingredients because those ingredients will not transfer over. So try to get every last bit of token that you can. Also in this vein, tokens do not transfer between events, at least that's been the case in the past, so use all the tokens you can in the shop for the rewards you want before the shop closes and your tokens and the rewards are gone forever. But with those little tidbits out of the way, it is time for you to get out there and live your best culinary life. Let me know which of the boys you are going to be picking and which of the dishes up this time is your favorite. And if you like content like this and want more of it, let me know that too down in the comment section below. If comments aren't your thing, you could always like and subscribe instead. But before you go, I just have to remind you that you're amazing and I hope you have a wonderful day.